Many individuals have switched from using Adobe Bridge to Adobe Lightroom because of the advantages Lightroom offers when working with large volumes of photos and videos. Now, your workflow will determine if you use Lightroom or Bridge to manage your assets. For this course, if you're using the exercise files, while I find it easier just to use Bridge to navigate to and open your images, if you want to use Lightroom, let's see what that would look like. We're going to cover both versions of Lightroom, both Lightroom Classic as well as Lightroom CC. Let's begin with Lightroom Classic. In order to access the exercise files, I would click Import, then navigate to the exercise files. Because they're already on my desktop, I'll add them in place and click Import. As soon as the files have been imported, I can select the different folders here underneath the folder panel. In order to open an image, I would select it, then use the Photo menu, choose Edit In, and then Edit in Photoshop. Now, depending on the file format, you might get different options. So for example, this image is a DNG file, it's a RAW file, and when I open up the image, it's going to open directly into Photoshop. Likewise, if I select a JPEG file, it will also open directly into Photoshop. If I had a multi-layered PSD file, Lightroom is going to ask me if I should open the original, in which case I'd want to be sure to check that option because I need Lightroom to hand off that file with all of the multiple layers. Now, if you're working with your own images, you're going to want to take advantage of the Develop module in Lightroom in order to make your images look their best while maintaining the highest quality before you ever open them in Photoshop. But with these exercise files, because this is a Photoshop course, we're not going to be making any changes to the exercise files in Lightroom's Develop module. All right, let's switch over to Lightroom CC. In order to add photos, I can either click the Add Photos button here or click on the plus icon, navigate to the exercise files, click on one, hold down the Shift key to select all of the folders, and then click Review for Import. Before adding them, I might want to select or create a new collection. So I'll choose New, and I'll name this ET and then Basics for Essential Training Basics, and then click Create. I'll add the 73 photos, and once Lightroom CC has imported them, I can access them either by clicking on All Photos or by clicking on the album. Now in the version that I'm using to record, I'm getting this Add Photos error, but I'm going to click OK and not worry about it because the photos have actually been added. If you're using a later version, you might not even see that dialog. All right, I'll click on the album, and then in order to open a document, I can click to select it and then choose File, Edit in Photoshop, or use the keyboard shortcut Command-E on Mac or Control-E on Windows, or I could right-click and then choose Edit in Photoshop. As long as I'm opening a JPEG file or a RAW file, this will work just fine. But one word of caution in this version of Lightroom CC, if you try to open a multi-layered Photoshop document, Lightroom CC is going to flatten all of those layers into a single layer. So when we get to the chapters later on that have multi-layered Photoshop documents, you're going to want to switch to the Finder or Explorer, find those exercise files, and then open them through the operating system. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to use Adobe Bridge, Adobe Lightroom Classic, or Adobe Lightroom CC in order to open the exercise files into Photoshop.